Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We have last few classes we were dealing with influence line diagrams, right? We have drawn influence line diagram for unit loads on a beam placed anywhere. So we placed a unit load, and based on this unit load, we found the reaction values at, say, if this is A and B. So we found the RA, RB, that is the reactions at A and B because of this unit load. And then we drew the influence line diagrams like this, where this was unity and this RB was unit value. These are what? These are your ILD standard. Okay, these are your influence line diagrams for RA and RB with unit loads. And then we made use of these same diagrams when we dealt with yesterday. We saw when we have UDL placed over the beam, either a part of UDL, that is the length is less than the length of the beam, or also we took up a numerical yesterday where the entire beam was loaded with the uniformly distributed load. So when we were trying to get the values of the reactions from the standard IIDs, right? We saw the procedure to get the values of RA, RB, right? Using these standard figures of influence line diagrams. So we were drawing for RA, we know this is the influence line diagram, and then if I've given you a point C at some distance X, so at that particular distance X, we found the Z, and then when we are dealing with UDL, the area which comes under that particular zone. So that we have to consider. So to calculate the reaction, it was the load into the area that was coming under that particular zone. In a case where the entire beam was loaded with the UDL, the entire triangle was considered. In a case like this, so when we had a case wherein only a part of it was UDL, so the influence line diagram, and then this was the area that had to be considered. We have taken up numericals related to this. Also, entire UDL and two numericals related to such kind of examples. We took up numerical where we had point loads, two point loads and single point load also we have done, right? I want you to solve those, go through the procedure once again. If you have any doubts, please let me know so that I will again deal with it or teach the same thing once more in the class. Okay, I don't mind. Even if there are 2, 3 candidates who have not understood, please open up and tell me. I will teach once again in the class, right? So today, as I told you yesterday, 1 minute. Okay, I'm sorry. I had some business to finish up. I told you yesterday that we had to we'll take up a standard case where the load is on the beam, right? So this is that case. Consider a beam, okay, or consider a beam. Call this A. This is B, and a UDL in this pattern. This is W kilonewton per meter, right? The total span of the beam is capital L, and say this point is point C and this point is point D. This point C is at a distance X from A. So what is the remaining distance? This remaining would be L minus X, and UDL is spanning for a length of Y. The UDL is spanning for a length of Y, like this. So a remaining distance, if I want to write, it would be L minus X minus Y. Correct? So this is the configuration or the dimensioning of the beam that is being given to us. We have to draw the ILD using the standard ILD. ILD for simply supported beam using or having UDL shorter than the span. So this is the case where ILD for simply supported beam, SSB stands for simply supported beam, having the UDL, okay, this is the UDL shorter than span. Okay, UDL length is shorter than the span, right? So this is less, and this length is Y, and this is X. This point C is at a distance X, so remaining would be L minus X minus Y, because the total span is L. Now for this, we have to solve. We have taken numericals related to this. Now this is a standard case. So let us begin. So when we were doing numerical for this, we know for to find the reactions, first step, to find reactions, in that only, let us say we want to find RA. So we will use the IID for RA. It is like this, right? Standard influence line diagram for RA with unit load. So this is unit, right? And this is your L. So when we are drawing the influence line diagram, I know that I have to project this two lines at the bottom, and I will be interested in this area, correct? So for that, I require to calculate Z1 and Z2. To calculate Z1 and Z2, let us mark the distances. This is X, this is Y, and this is L minus X minus Y. So how do I get Z1 and Z2 now? We get Z1 and Z2 using the similar triangle. Okay, Z2 divided by this will be equal to 1 divided by L, right? Or 1 divided by L, 1 divided by L will be equal to Z2 divided by L minus X minus Y. Therefore, what is Z2 then? Z2 becomes L minus X minus Y divided by L. So this is the value of Z2, right? Similarly, if I want to calculate Z1, so 1 divided by L will be equal to Z1 divided by this distance. This is y will go. It is L minus X, correct? So 1 divided by L, 1 divided by L is equal to Z1 divided by this distance. That is, this is L minus X. Okay, therefore Z1 is equal to L minus X divided by L. So first find the intercepts. Yesterday also we have seen, while solving the numericals, we have to first find the intercepts. Once this intercepts or the ordinates are found, what is the formula for reaction at A? Tell me, who will tell? Reaction at A. What is the formula? RA equal to? Yes, answer.
Load into ordinator.
Load into
Ordinate, or
ordinate
in UDL what it is?
area.
Area. Area between what?
C and D.
Area between
Z1
C and
to
D, wherever the UDL is acting. Area between this. So load into area between CD. Correct? So load value is W. We will keep it as it is. Now area of this is going to be the area of the trapezoid. That is, what is the formula? Z2 plus Z1. First, let me write the formula. Y divided by 2 into Z1 plus Z2. Right? Z1 plus Z2 divided by 2 into Y, or Y divided by 2 into Z1 plus Z2. You can write it like this. So then substitute Z1 and Z2. W into Y divided by 2 into Z1 is L minus X minus Y by L, plus this L minus X by L. No need to further simplify anything. Simply substitute and keep. Don't try to simplify. If you know, further simplification is good. If you don't know, it's okay. You can stop at this, but don't do wrong thing. Okay, we can simplify this because both of them are LCM is L. So W into Y by 2, I'll keep it out. L minus X minus Y plus L minus X divided by L. Right? So I have 2 times L and 2 times X and 1 time Y. So this will further get, we can further solve it as Y by 2 into 2L minus 2X minus Y divided by L. So this is the value of the reaction at A. Same procedure we have followed when we were doing the numericals. If I tell you this first and then do the numericals, it will not be that convincing. But now, because you have done numericals, 2, 3 of them, so doing this will be much easier, is what I feel. So same procedure, draw, first find Z1 and Z2, use the formula. RA is load into the area between that. You know the area formula, simply substitute that Z1 and Z2 and get the value of RA. Okay, now similar way we will find RB, right? Reaction at B. So your ILD diagram will change. So what is the diagram for reaction at B? You will have unit here, like this, right? And this is your C and D still, C and D only. So if I'm drawing from here, then this is C, this is D, this is X, this is Y, this is L minus X minus Y. Correct? Okay. I'm interested in this area. I'll call this as Z1 and I'll call this as Z2 now. How do I get Z1? So to solve for Z1, use a similar triangle. Z1 divided by X will be equal to 1 divided by L, right? So 1 divided by L is equal to Z1 divided by X from the similar triangle. Therefore, Z1 is X by L. Okay. Once this is done, then let us find Z2. 1 divided by L equal to Z2 divided by X plus Y. So 1 divided by L is equal to Z2 divided by this distance, that is X plus Y. So what is the value of Z2? It is X plus Y divided by L. So once we get the values of Z1 and Z2, reaction at B is nothing but the load into the area between C and D. So substitute load is W, area between C and D is given by y by 2, that is height by 2 into z1 plus z2. Correct? Let us substitute W into y by 2, keep it as it is, z1 and z2 are here. X by L plus x plus y by L. So here LL is same. So I have 2x plus y. So I'll finally write W into y by 2 into 2x plus y divided by L. This is the value of the RB. Clear? You can stop at this point. So this is the value of the reaction at B. RB value from what? From the standard influence line diagram. Okay. So after this, any doubts here? No doubts? Nobody answers. That means no doubts. So once you find RB, we have to find the shear force and maximum positive shear force and maximum negative shear force. So how do we go ahead for maximum shear force value? Yes, who can answer? To find shear force, all right. How do I get the maximum shear force? Maximum shear force, to get the maximum shear force, we will be placing this towards the supports, right? So to get maximum shear force, place the UDL, we have done this numerical, towards the support, right? The first numerical that we took, it was like this only. So meaning your diagram will become like this now. This is your L span, right? And then I will place the UDL here, which is W kilonewton per meter, right? Till this is C and this is your D, okay? And let us call this distance as A now, small a, and the other one would be remaining is B. So when I draw the shear force diagram, in this only, if I want to get the negative and positive shear force, the shear force diagram is going to be like this. RA and RB, this will come and join to 0 and this will be from 0. And I will need the shear force at this point. So when I'm dealing with negative, so I will take this ordinate. When I'm dealing with positive, I have to find this ordinate, correct? So let us first find maximum, say, positive shear force. So positive shear force means top ordinate. So that I'll call it as, say, Z1. Z1. Okay, get the ordinate of Z1. How to get this ordinate? This distance is A, this distance is B. So Z1 divided by B, Z1 divided by B is equal to 1 divided by L, or 1 divided by L is Z1 divided by B. Correct? What is the value of Z1 now? It is B by I lost the connection. Is it? Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The connection had gone. The screen had gone blank. Okay. Fine. Maximum positive means I need Z1 now. So I'll have to write the formula. So what is the formula? It is the load into area between what? Area between A and C, right? So it is going to be equal to load into the area between AC, correct? So let us write um, AC only, no, yeah, correct. Load is W, this 2. So this is Z1, this is 1. So it is going to be A divided by 2, that is H distance. A divided by 2 into 1 plus Z1 is the formula of the trapezoid. So W keep it as it is. A by 2 also keep it as it is. 1 plus Z1 you put B by L. You can stop it at this point. No need to further, find, or it's okay. Keep it like this, or you want to further simplify also is fine. Next, when I want to calculate maximum negative shear force at C, meaning I'll have to calculate this Z2 now. Z2. So how do I get the ordinate Z2? Z2 divided, or 1 divided by L, will be equal to Z2 divided by A. Correct? So Z2 is what? A by L. So when I'm writing the maximum negative shear force at C, it is nothing but load into the area of AC. Now look at AC. A to C area is a triangle. So half base into height. So load is W, area is half, base is A, height is Z2. Okay, so this becomes W into half into A into Z2 is A by L. So nothing but W A square by 2L. This is the maximum negative shear force value. Okay, any doubt? So negative answer, this will be going into negative. So no need to write negative sign. If you just mention here is more than sufficient. Any doubt with this? We did not do anything to get the maximum and negative shear force. We place the UDL towards the support. Okay, so we place the UDL like this, and we know shear force diagram, UDL. So here, not UDL, for a UDL standard IID diagram. So 1 and 1, and this is the pattern. So your UDL is in this region. So I will be more interested in this area and this area. The upper above this line is positive, below this line is negative. This is your reference line. So when I'm taking the positive shear force, I will take the area of this. When I'm taking the negative shear force maximum, I'll take the area of this. Okay. So this is about your maximum positive and maximum negative shear force that is possible because of this UDL. Okay. Then after this, we have to find what? Um, bending moment. No. Next is what? Okay, we'll do one thing. We placed the UDL at the support and we got the maximum. If I'd ask you to place the UDL at the center, okay, and get the value, let us say this is your point C. I'll ask you to place the UDL here. So this distance is A, this distance is B, this is W kilonewton per meter, right? And it is spanning for Y distance. Right? In this case, if I ask you to find the maximum shear force, how are you going to do? Again, the diagram is going to be like this. Am I right? Are you following the standard IID shear force with unit here and unit here? So this is how it is. So when we are dealing with positive shear force, I will consider this area. When I'm dealing with negative shear force, I will consider this area. So it is important we find Z1 and Z2 for the first, that is positive area, and then this would be negative. Here I'll call it as Z1 dash and Z2 dash. Okay, so find these Z1, Z2, Z1 dash, Z2 dash, and then substitute and get the value of the shear force. So if I want to find Z1, what are the lengths? This length is A, this is Y, and this fellow is going to become L minus A minus Y. Correct? So in the first one, for positive shear force, right? So when I'm dealing with the positive shear force, I will put Z2 divided by this will be equal to 1 divided by L. So I write 1 divided by L is equal to Z2 divided by L minus A minus Y, or Z2 is going to be L minus A minus Y by L. Z2 will be this remaining distance divided by L. So we found the value of Z2. How you will get Z1? 1 divided by L is equal to Z1 divided by this distance. Z1 divided by Y plus L minus A minus Y. By go, it becomes what? L minus A. Right? So what is the value of Z1 now? Z1 becomes L minus A by L, the value. Then you will find the maximum, because Z1 and Z2 are in positive. So maximum positive shear force when the load is placed in this pattern is given by load into the area that is coming between that. So load area between C and D. So W is the load. Area is going to be Y by 2 into Z1 plus Z2, like this. So W into Y by 2. What is Z1 and Z2 here? Z1 is L minus A by L, and Z2 is L minus A minus Y by L, right? So if I again simplify this, W into Y by 2, L minus A minus, sorry, plus L minus A minus Y divided by L. So 2L minus 2A minus Y. This will further reduce to W into Y by 2, 2L minus 2A minus Y by L. Yeah. So this is about your maximum positive shear force when the load is placed at the center. If I ask you to find, now I want you to answer. If I ask you to find the maximum negative shear force, how will you go ahead? How will you go ahead? Yes? Still are there or sleeping? Hello? Audible?
Yes, ma'am.
How do I go with negative value? Maximum negative shear force?
Finding
Where are
Z.
you?
Find Z1 and Z2.
For the negative diagram, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is Z1 dash and Z2 dash, right? Here, the way I've found out this, you have to find Z1 and Z1 dash and Z2 dash. So negative shear force when we are calculating, my pens are not writing. Negative shear force when we are calculating, I need to find Z1 dash and Z2 dash. So 1 divided by L, 1 divided by L will be equal to Z1 dash divided by A. So Z1 dash is equal to A by L. Similarly, 1 divided by L, sorry, 1 divided by L is equal to Z2 dash divided by this distance, A plus Y. Z2 dash divided by A plus Y. Okay, so here I get Z2 dash is equal to A plus Y by L. So once you get these two values, then your negative shear force value is load into area. Into area means Y by 2 into Z1 dash plus Z2 dash. So W is the loading into Y by 2, Z1 dash is A by L, Z2 is plus A plus Y by L. Okay, so W into Y by 2, 2A plus Y divided by L is the answer. This is the value of negative shear force when we place the UDL in this pattern. Okay, so we did the regular when we place the UDL at the supports and when we place the UDL at the center. Now we have to find for bending moment. Last step, we have to find the bending moment. So yesterday I told you, when we are doing for bending moment, we have to place it in such a way where we get the ratio x by a and L1 by L, right? So we'll have to place it like that. So this is your beam, okay? And this is the UDL. Here somewhere you have your point C. This UDL's length is going to be treated as L1 and the entire length is L. This distance for up to C is going to be treated as X and this is going to be our A. So when I'm doing for maximum bending moment, the ratio should be how? X divided by L1 will be equal to A divided by L. Correct? So in this case, our numbers or our figures are going to be A and L1 and X only. But when we are doing the numerical, we will be aware of L1, we will be aware of A, we will be aware of L also. Only one will be unknown here in real time example. But here this will remain as it is. So this is the condition to get the maximum bending moment. When I draw the bending moment diagram, it is going to be like this with AB by L, correct? And I have to drop these two from different the ends of the UDL in this pattern, and the area of this is going to fetch me the maximum bending moment, for which I need to calculate Z1 and Z2 again, right? So to calculate Z1 and Z2, the distances are what? This distance is A and this distance is going to be A minus X. On the other side, the remaining distance is B and this distance is going to be, you can call it as B minus L1 minus X, or that is better. B minus L1 minus X. Number increases. I need this one, no? So this is B. This has to go in that. So this would be what? B minus half of L1. Sorry. So did we miss out anything here? This is L1 minus X, correct? So this distance is going to be B minus L1 minus X, correct it was. So this is the distances. Once we find the distances, then we have to put the similar triangle rule. For Z1, AB by L divided by A, this will be equal to Z1 divided by this distance is A minus X. So Z1 here becomes AB by L into A minus X divided by A. The big number. See, this height is AB by L. So AB by L divided by A, okay, is equal to Z1 divided by A minus X. From here I get the value of Z1. Then Z2 would be AB by L divided by 2. I did it here. AB by L divided by B, sorry. B will be equal to Z2 divided by B minus L minus X. So from here I get the Z2 value, that is how much? AB by L into B minus L minus X divided by B. B and A can get cancelled. Yes?
B minus L1 minus X.
L1 minus X, yes, correct. B minus L1 minus X. So once we get Z1 and Z2, we know in our numericals that the Z1 and Z2 will be same, right? We know, or we get Z1 value will be equal to Z2 value. Therefore, maximum bending moment is going to be load into area between CD, C to D, this distance, right? That is this area. So when I'm writing that area equation, W into, it is going to be area of the triangle plus area of the rectangle, right? So W into area of a triangle is half base into height. Height is what? Total is AB by L minus this height, that is Z1 height. So half, I'm sorry for the background, half into base is this, that is Y, into height. Height is AB by L minus Z1. I'll not substitute Z1 or else it will become a mess. This is the area of the triangle plus area of rectangle is going to be Z1 into Y. Z1 into Y. So you can leave it at this point only. Don't further go to simplify anything because it will unnecessarily extend your work and it will not be right. Right? You will not get the right answer. So this much only you can show. Okay, get the values of Z1 and Z2 like this and write the equation. Maximum bending moment is load into area between CD. That area between CD is what? Area of a triangle plus area of a rectangle. So rectangle area would be Z1 into Y or L1 and area of a triangle is half base into height. Height is total AB by L minus what? Z1. Okay, so this would be the maximum bending moment equation. Any doubt till here?
Ma'am, for